What's happening, people? Welcome to United View and welcome to the pre-match chat, the preview for our home game against Brentford as they take the trip up the motorway, as many other Man United fans do, of course, to face Man United at Old Trafford. It's a big game for ourselves, which means we had to do a big preview with the one and only Natalie Sawyer. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well, Flex. How are you doing?
Personal or football?
Let's do personal first.
Personal, good, happy, feeling blessed in life and healthy and very, very good. Football, yeah. How about you?
Likewise, personal, everything's fine. Football wise, I am a little frightened by our visit to Old Trafford. And I
Are
know you're not,
you?
I know you're not in the best of form, but I feel like Brentford are a team that are a gift. We gift teams that need victories. Look at the Everton result not that long ago.
I know,
So,
I could believe that.
yeah, I know. I mean, I was there and it was probably one of the worst performances I've seen for a very long time from Brentford. So, so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant about going to Old Trafford.
Yeah, Brentford's no wins in the last five. Obviously, ourselves stuttering along the way. Don't know what we're quite up to. Okay, from a Brentford perspective, because usually we expect a tough game against Brentford, and I know recently, like you said, it's been a bit up and it hasn't been great for you guys. How are you guys looking going into it? I know you spent some time in the press conference earlier with Thomas Frank. What's he had to say, and how are you? How's that making the fans feel? How do you feel about it?
Injuries, a bit like yourselves, we've got injuries and injuries to key personnel. I think we're out. I think there's 7 first team players basically missing from this game. And some of those are like Rico Henry, our left back, who is just so important to the energy that he provides on that left hand side. Such a key player to be missing, and he's going to be pretty much out for the rest of the season with a knee injury. And then of course you've got the likes of Ivan Toney. We all know why he's missing, but again, you're missing that physical presence that he brings to a team, and even like the experience of Ben Mee, for example. He's out, I think, with a muscular problem and is going to be out for a little while. So yeah, it just seems as though injuries are piling up for us, and we don't have that strength and depth. It's now coming to the fore where we're like, oh, our bench isn't as strong as we'd like it to be. And you're kind of looking at the bench thinking, we don't even have game changers really, as much as you'd like to think that anyone you bring on might do something in a game. They're not going to be as impactful as perhaps in the past. So yeah, that's the biggest issue for us, injuries. That being said, Thomas Frank's really looking forward to the challenge of taking on your
Of
boys.
course, he is.
Looking forward to seeing how our defence deals with a certain Rasmus Højlund as well.
Yes, obviously a Danish compatriot of Thomas Frank. So I know you spoke about he wants him to do well, but obviously not in that particular game. He has looked good. I can't lie. It was really exciting seeing him against Galatasaray and the games he has played. Scored against Bayern Munich. He's looked sharp. He looks powerful. He's a good runner. He can take the ball. He can shield the ball. He's a good sort of old school number 9. I mean, Paul Scholes, you always got to be careful with comments like this, but Paul Scholes obviously said there's shades of Van Nistelrooy there. You don't want to go down that road too early, but he's definitely really exciting. And if we can keep feeding him, which has been a bit of a problem actually, you can tell he's going to get goals. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to him. In terms of us, obviously with injuries, we've got a load of injuries as well. At the back, we haven't been good. We've got Sofian Amrabat having to fill in at left back. There's talks that Sergio Reguilon, they might assess him and see if they can sort of rush him back a bit quicker than anticipated. Because as of now, at the time of recording, our press conference hasn't happened yet. That will happen on Friday. There's issues with Marcus Rashford looking off it. Bruno Fernandes looking off it. Is he shoehorning them in? My theory has been that Ten Hag hasn't wanted to kind of tackle those two as big personalities. He's fought the Jadon Sancho battle. He's brought in Onana. He's just made Rashford, given him a new deal. He's just made Bruno Fernandes captain. If he takes them out the team and it doesn't work, how does he get them back? So there's a lot, but a lot of Man United fans are saying, listen, do what's right. Garnacho deserves to start if Marcus isn't doing it. Hannibal's doing fine. Why are you taking him out? But I expect him to go pretty much with the same team that started against Galatasaray. I mean, Andre Onana is looking a bag of nerves. Oh, honestly, it's just
what,
one
though?
thing to know.
We're both in the same situation in that we're both betting in new goalkeepers.
Yes, exactly.
Ours is Mark Flecken, who, at times has looked assured. He's pulled off some great saves, but then there'll be one incident, one, I don't like to use the word clanger, but I'm going to say the word clanger, where you're like,
It is
oh,
though,
I
yeah.
think you would have done better with that. And that's leading to a little bit of criticism from the fans. But I always think a goalkeeper is such a hard position to bed in because, as we always say, there's no one else that can help a goalkeeper out. Once it's gone past him, it's probably in the back of the net. So, I think it's interesting that we are both experiencing difficulties with our goalkeepers who are having to learn with a new back line, those new relationships, the way that they communicate with their defence. I think it's always difficult to, as I say, bed in a new goalkeeper. But it's funny enough that we're both experiencing it as well.
Exactly. I've seen sort of some of your games as well. I watched you against Forest, and it was kind of like, some good moments followed by
Mm,
some not so good moments. I watched you against Arsenal as well. You really put it on them in the second half.
yeah.
Wissa was about, just couldn't find the bit of quality at the end. And Wemu looks a little bit off at the minute, but I'm looking at it like, then rolls up Old Trafford, then rolls up Man United, and that's the time.
Well, I mean, you say, like I say, I'm apprehensive of it. And maybe that's just because I'm being a cautious fan as well.
Yeah,
Because you're right, in a way, it's a great time for us to play you because you're not in the best of form. And this could be a game changing match for us, let's say, going forward.
exactly.
Annoyingly, there's an international break coming up. So that
Yeah.
ruins any sort of momentum. We kind of are at this moment in time, I feel like a second half team. First half, we can't really get going. And then, like you say, that Arsenal League Cup game, that second half in particular, in a way, how we didn't get anything out of that,
Yeah, it
which
was insane.
I don't know. Obviously, you can't draw a League Cup game, but how we didn't draw that game, I don't know. We created so many problems for Arsenal. So yeah, a bit similar as well. We're just patchy. We're just patchy, and we're still trying to find our feet really and deal with the losses of the injuries. Wissa and Burma started the season off brilliant, and Burma was scored four, I think it
It was
three.
like
No,
Ivan Tony who
yeah,
sort of
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
We weren't worried. We weren't because towards the end of last season, obviously Ivan was missing, and we went to Spurs and we annihilated them 3-1. I think it was. I was there, and
Mm.
we didn't. Again, it was that thing of we don't need to worry. We'll be all right without Ivan Tony. But there are just moments now where you're like, oh, if Ivan was in the team, he'd be bullying the defenders. He'd be drawing the defenders out to create space for others to get in, and even that physical presence in defence when we're defending set pieces. Again, Ivan's one of the first that gets to a ball to header it out, for example. So yeah, we are missing him. But like I say, there's no better game in a way to sort of G yourself up for than a visit to Old Trafford. So I'm hoping, from our perspective, that it will come good.
Listen, at the moment, I'll be honest, Nat, like, people are feasting on Man United at Old Trafford right now. They really are. And I know it can sound like reverse psychology or there's pressure. I know, I get it. And you're not in a good moment yourself. But, we looked at that Crystal Palace game. I know it was a bit
Mm,
of a false sense of security in the Carabao Cup when Roy Hodgson made so many changes, which I don't know why they didn't go as strong. They could have beaten us twice, to be honest.
yeah.
And it's like they scored a set piece, and then they were so comfortable after that. We ran out of ideas, and if
Mm,
Brentford score first, and I don't want to be too negative from a United point of view, it's just how I honestly feel. If you score first, I have I have massive reservations as to what that would do. Old Trafford would be apprehensive, it would be
mm,
nervy. That would transmit to the players. We're making an awful lot of mistakes. It's almost like if we don't play a game perfectly, like we did against Palace, against a weakened Palace, we don't
yeah.
win. When we
Yeah.
have a little bit of adversity, the other team has a bit of pressure. We just don't have it. So I think we almost need to play a perfect game, albeit against a Brentford side that isn't at its best. We still
Yeah.
need to be at our best because I just worry for us. We're just so mentally fragile right now that if something happens, it's unlucky, or there's a deflection, it goes in, or someone scores from a set piece, maybe against a run of play. We start well, we usually do okay the first 15, 20 minutes. And if we haven't scored, something happens. And it's
Mm,
so annoying.
mm.
And that's why I'm worried, because I just I just can't predict how we're going to play. And I definitely can't predict how we're going to react to adversity. Actually, I can predict how we're going to react to adversity. You usually crumble. That's usually what's been happening.
Well, obviously, Thomas Frank will have done his homework. So I'm
Yes.
hoping his message to the boys will be get out there and get at them as soon as you can,
Yes.
or as early as you can, like you say, to heap the pressure on you guys. And also, okay, we haven't beaten you at Old Trafford, but obviously we beat you last season at home early on in the season. I know you don't want to go back to those
Oh,
days. They were
yeah.
terrible days.
They don't
But
feel like they're too far away.
That first half performance from us in particular was just so incredible. I mean, you were awful. Let's be honest, you were awful. You made it easy for us,
We
but the
did.
mistakes we were making, obviously David De Gea playing it out to Christian Eriksen when the ball was not on at all,
Basically,
and then,
what Onana just done against Galatasaray 2 days ago.
well, that's true. That's true.
The same
Um,
thing.
Exactly. So that's why I'm kind of hoping that, again, Thomas Frank can get into the minds of the players and be like, you've beaten them before. Okay, it wasn't at this place, but you know how to beat this team. So let's try and harness that feeling once again. Again, obviously, there's no Ivan Toney, big miss, but
Mm.
still, we do have some really good players. And when it clicks brilliantly. It's just a little disjointed at the moment for us.
Yeah, if I'm looking at Brentford and you guys at the minute, of course, obviously, in Mbeumo, I know he hasn't been at it recently, spending some time on the right-hand side with Whistler up front at the minute. He's always dangerous. I know he hasn't been at his sparkling best, but you have to respect it that at any moment, maybe he can click back into form, and he's a good player. Whistler's actually, I didn't realise how quick he was, actually.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
bit of pace to him.
He's
Yeah,
yeah, he's got a bit of pace and he's always at it as well. He plays with a good intensity, he hassles defenders. He wouldn't stop. I mean, there's a time against Arsenal, I think he won the ball back and then it looked like it was going to go out for a corner. It didn't. He got back up, nicked it off Gabriel. And I also saw he just won't stop. He was playing like a man possessed at one point
yeah,
against Arsenal, especially in that second half. Unlucky not to score. So he's a big threat. Obviously, Norgard as well. Um,
yeah.
Good
I mean, you're
player.
right with Whistler. I think with Whistler, he's probably taking on that mantle of Ivan Toney. Obviously, like you mentioned, he's playing that number 9 role, which he obviously hasn't really done before. And he will harry, he will press, he will cause defenses problems. He's a bit niggly,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
like that little pest that won't go away.
yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He is like that, which we obviously love.
absolutely.
Unfortunately, he's just not getting the goals, and that's the only thing that's lacking from his game right now. Likewise with Burma, but he got off to a great start, Brian. So
Mm.
a lot of players will have a moment in a season where they just go off it a little. We're hoping that that's it for these guys, and then whether it's this game at Old Trafford or after the international break, they'll just kick on once again. But yeah, like I said all along, there's just something about Brentford being the gift that keeps on giving. So
Oh,
you never know.
please give us something.
We might. We
I'll
might.
accept it. Any gift you want to give me, I will accept it because we are in. Honestly, because if you talk about, and it is kind of pessimistic, but if we lose to you,
Right.
there is massive pressure mounting. You know, to
Is
talk about his
that
job safe and things like that. He wouldn't get sacked. I don't think
where?
he gets sacked.
Where? No, I can't imagine
He
so.
won't
But
get
okay,
sacked.
I've got to pose you a question then. If you
Go on
were
then.
to lose, so let's say it's 1-0.
Mm,
What's worse, Palace? I mean, it might all come down to the performance as well, of course. But in
mm.
terms of where it ranks, Palace or Brentford, what do you think would be worse?
Uh,
I mean,
Maybe Brentford, but only because Brentford have been off it, haven't won a game in 5. You
yeah,
know, struggling. There's
yeah.
no Ivan Toney. They've got loads of injuries. They're not in their best moment, and Palace
It's
aren't in
probably
their best moment. But you know what Roy Hodgson's like. Roy Hodgson,
yeah,
I saw a stat. I think he's the only manager or something that in 5 games or something he hasn't
that's right.
lost at Old Trafford.
Yeah. That's right. I
So
mean,
when you look at it like that, he knows how to set up coming there. He's got a track record of
yeah,
doing it.
yeah, yeah. And it's probably an unfair question because the Palace have been in the Premier League for a while, so they're
Yeah,
an established side, and we're still. I mean, you mentioned it already. I was at the Thomas Frank news conference earlier on, and he was asked sort of the question along the lines of, do you think yourself as a Premier League manager now? And he was like, well, I do, but equally as a club, I still think you need probably about a decade to really say you've established yourself as a Premier League team because
yeah,
look at some sides like Leeds came up, they've gone down after a couple of seasons. Leicester have been in for 7 or 8 years, whatever it was.
yeah.
They won the title, but they're now back in the championship.
Burnley did it for a long time with Sean Dyche
Yeah,
escaping, and yeah,
exactly. So, yeah, maybe an unfair question on Crystal Palace because
yeah,
they've been around for a while.
yeah, exactly. But the pressure is man. I just want to see us supply Rasmus Hall. I want to see him kick on. I was really upset that he was on the losing side the other day. He didn't deserve that. He was absolutely
No.
fantastic. And yeah, hopefully he gets to it. Okay, right, prediction time.
Ah,
Yeah, it's
hardest
all said and
question in the
done.
world.
We've spoke about why we're so nervous of both of our teams, but here's where we probably aimlessly back them to win.
Of course, yeah. There's absolutely no reason for us to back our teams, but we have to just because they're in our heart. And what else do you do? I am going to go for. Hmm. Oh, oh. I'm torn between 1-0 or 2-1. I'm going to 2-1, but I think we might score first. I think you'll equalise, and then we'll nick it at the end. In the
Okay,
like
going
20th
2-1.
minute of added on time, because there'll be so many changes. Oh, that'll be.
Oh, you're going 2-1 win Brentford. Okay. I am. We're not going to be perfect. We're conceding a lot of goals, so I can't see a clean sheet.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
gonna match you, but the other way around, to be honest. 2-1
Okay,
United. Don't
fair
think
enough.
it's gonna be easy. I don't think it's gonna be comfortable. I don't think it's gonna be just a routine day at the office. I would love it to be. I would love to come back to this video and go, how wrong was I? That was a really easy win. Couldn't believe that was so easy. But I just don't think that's gonna happen. So I'm gonna go 2-1 United. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. And may the best team win. No contentious, mad decisions,
Oh
referee
yeah,
and this, and that. We've seen obviously all
yeah,
the controversy
yeah.
from last week. So here's to just a fair game at least. And whoever wins, you go, you know what? Fair play.
Exactly.
Guys, you guys can catch Natalie Sawyer. Wait, actually, what is the programming? When are you on Talk Sport versus when you're
Oh,
not?
well, the main shifts are the weekends. So the weekend sports breakfast, well, game day breakfast on Saturday, which is 6 till 9 of a normal season. And then on Sunday as well, similar 6 till 9, but it's weekend sports breakfast. And then I'm filling in at the moment for all various people who are off. So
Bit
you
all
might
over
catch
the
me
place.
today as well. Yeah, I'm just doing what I'm asked to do, which is all good
Love
fun.
that.
Great
Love.
place to work. Love it.
So wait, will you be on Sunday morning?
I will be on Sunday morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
so tune in to Talk Sport as well Sunday morning. Hear what
Do you know
Natalie has
what,
to say
though?
about the game, win, lose or
The
draw.
funny thing is, when it's like, I don't know, Brentford against Crystal Palace or whoever, sometimes you can go, we don't need to talk about that because that's, Man United does dominate and so does Liverpool, City, etc. I will have to talk about this game
You will,
regardless of
you
what
will,
happens.
because it'll either be, wow, Man United were amazing. Is this the turning
Yeah,
point? Oh, or
yeah,
they've lost again. Thomas
yes.
Frank piles the misery on Manchester United. So get ready. So there you go. Find Natalie on Talk Sport and loads of other platforms as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and may the best team win.
Indeed.
Take care, guys. Peace.